Whare Ra is the oldest small winery in Marlborough. Its vines were planted in 1979. 11 hectares of the vineyard are now home to around 7 grape varieties. Anna and Jason Flowerday are the current owners and are hands-on winemakers. They say the size of the vineyard and the variety of the grapes it contains allows them to showcase the depth and diversity of Marlborough wines.
We really wanted somewhere where we could be on top of every step of the process, so for us the size and scale is quite important. A lot of people probably thought Whare Ra was this old, weird vineyard, no sav, why would you do that? The winery was sort of half falling down around our ears, but yeah, for us it was everything we'd be looking for. The chance to put our own stamp on it, but it had some provenance, people had heard of it, and it had a really good framework that we felt like we could build on it and grow with. So, very unusual in the context of Marlborough, a vineyard with no Sauvignon Blanc. We do have some now, but I guess that's the thing. We were already, as far as we saw it, you know, a step forward in being able to show people that depth and diversity and show that Marlborough's not just a one-trick pony. Here, babe, check one of these. It's pretty close. What do you think?
It's 21 and a half.
Oof, getting close. Getting close. My family are grape growers in South Australia, in a wine region called McLaren Vale, and have been there since 1850-something, so fairly multi-generational.
Ooh, 22 and a half.
Oh, liking those numbers. And same for Jace. His grandparents were involved in the early stages of the wine industry in Nelson, and then his parents have been here since the early 80s, and his dad's been a viticulturist and a consultant and that type of thing. So, yeah, I guess for both of us, it's what we do.
It's looking good, 22 and a half.
We just really want to be the best. That's what matters to us. It's a winemaker's vineyard. It's a wine company run by 2 winemakers, which is a bit of a different agenda sometimes. So organics has become a big part of that.
That one's 23.
Nice. We won New Zealand Winery of the Year in 2014, and a fairly esteemed wine critic in New Zealand called Raymond Chan gave us that, and that really meant a lot. That, to me, was one of the most emotional moments we've had. Besides our parents, the second person actually we rang after that was our bank manager, because he's really backed us. You know, we had a vision of doing it very differently and a more of a niche, you know, high-end version of Marlborough that wasn't about volume growth, it was about value and finding those niches for that high-end version of New Zealand. And exporting's been a big part of that drive. Like, we've always been quite strong in New Zealand, but we now export to 10 different countries, which for a company of our size is, you know, I think it's a pretty good achievement.
A lot of our philosophy is around wine quality. So what we do here is, I suppose, looking for flavours, cropping balance with the vines, making sure that we're looking after our soil, and bring actually really good flavour into those grapes. So we think organics is a big part of doing that. So we farm Whare Ra organically, and we're certified with BioGrow New Zealand. For us, it's about trying to get that flavour into those grapes, and we believe a lot of that comes from really good soil management as well as canopy management. So there's a lot of different things it takes, but ultimately what's determining quality for us is what it actually ends up tasting in the bottle. What we're looking for is making sure that we can put the stress on the vine at the right times, but it doesn't mean to be that it's lacking in nutrition and it's lacking in water. We're using things that actually help trigger those things in the vine to give you better quality, but without the vine suffering the whole time. So we do have irrigation here, but some seasons we don't need to use it depending on what we get. So being able to look after the vines around water management is critical. And leaf management as well, you know, making sure that you've got the right amount of light, that your canopies are open, so your disease pressure is nice and low. With an organic management system, the one thing you have to do around controlling pest and disease is that you have to really be on a daily basis, you have to be really aware of what's going on around you. And so you adapt your management techniques through to the season. I think because you're doing the work through the season, you're actually preparing for the worst case scenario all the time. So you're doing the things as they're needed. We compost all our waste, our skins, our stalks, and we also produce a small amount of hay off the vineyard. So we mow the mid-rows, turn that into hay. That hay then gets composted down to sort of then get returned to the vineyards. We've incorporated cows into our whole farming system. I think it's really nice to have them here. We collect their manure for the cowpat pits. We use it in the compost, so it's really an important part of what we do. and they're just bloody nice to have around, really. This is cowpat pit. It's a biodynamic compost. So we use it for inoculating our soil out in the vineyard, and it's full of fungi and bacteria. So it's a fantastic way of getting a bit of extra life out in the vineyard, and we use it twice a year. We sort of put some out in autumn and also out in spring. We mix it into about, take 2.5 kilos of this product. That's enough to do 1 hectare of land. We mix it with about 100 litres, 200 litres of water, and then spray it out underneath the vines.
What we do in the vineyard and that same approach follows through in what we do in the winery. So, you know, it's really gentle handling because you've spent 9 months growing this stuff really carefully and with all this sort of meticulous attention to detail. So everything off the home block is hand-picked and then everything's hand-sorted, and that's a really important kind of quality control step for us because we don't have a second tier to blend away anything that doesn't make the grade. So essentially there's Whare Ra wine grade and then there's compost. So that sorting process is really important to kind of filter out anything that we wouldn't want to get through because we like making the wines very naturally with minimal intervention. So there's no need for any fining agents or anything like that. Most of what we operate under is the EU standard for organics. The other thing from a consumer perspective that people are most interested in is the lower sulphites. So the standards for organic wine mean we can only use about 1/2 or 1/3 of what's allowed in conventional wine. We tend to focus more on independent fine wine retailers or stores like Glengarry's. That's more our kind of place. And then a lot of what we sell actually in all markets is through restaurants and wine bars. So in the on-premise market, that's really somewhere where people are looking for something a bit different. It's not more about bang for your buck. It's sort of more about quality, and they're obviously the wines are shown in a really great setting that way by being paired, you know, with food. So we're really proud to have our wine on some of the wine lists that's on. That was what we're trying to do.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.